Hey guys, now it's really encouraging that this research has come out from Monash University, bringing attention on the brain with regards to rehabilitation into the mainstream. But what they're basically describing is simply spatial summation. It's something that's been around in functional neurological circles for a couple of decades now. So it's essentially describing a process by which you utilize two or more pathways within the brain that are complementary to each other to gain an increased facilitation of one particular outcome, whether it be strength or reduced pain, improvement in balance or something like that. It's really great stuff. They've shown loaded isometric work, so basically loaded isometrics in just holding positions whilst the individual puts their focused attention, which will fire the prefrontal cortex quite strongly, onto the sound of a metronome, which also fires the temporal lobes and just basically gives a much higher activation throughout the entire brain while the person is contracting, and it gives this great analgesic effect because you're increasing brain activation globally and improving via corticospinal tracts facilitation to the muscles at work. So that's awesome, and that's great that it's been effective for pain. It's really good stuff. Anyone who's done our neuroskeletal course or our cerebellum course will be very comfortable with that term spatial summation already. But what about using it to increase tendon strength as part of training? So what we're going to do is show you two movements. One, an isometric position with flexor dominance, and we'll show you a particular eye motion to use or a visuomotor drill to use during that, which will do exactly the same thing as the research has shown from Monash University, and another one that has an extensor dominance in the position and a slightly different visuomotor drill for that one. So we'll give you two things to try, which will ultimately go a long way to increasing your tendon strength. Okay, so the first movement we're going to show you is what's called a planche lean. Now this is a movement that is in this particular position is going to have a high flexor dominance, so it's primarily really loading the abdominal group, the anterior deltoids and the biceps. There's a lot of load on the tendon here, so this isometric position, this alone does great things to increase tendon strength and the stability in the joints, but we're going to include a visuomotor drill, what's called a vertical saccade. So we're going to get Luke to flick his eyes between 2 points, one on the center of his horizon and one vertical to that, while he does the position for around 10 seconds. And now you would hold the position for as long as you can, depending on your strength levels and experience, etc. But just as a demonstration, we'll do 10 seconds with Luke in a planche lean and have him do vertical saccades while he does it. Okay, so that's going to create that spatial summation in the same way the research has been shown from the Monash University. So if you want to bring yourself fully into the position, he's loading into the biceps here, and I'm going to give him a central target and one vertical to it and get him to flick his eyes between those 2 points as he leans into the arms. That's it. Give me another 3, 2, 1, and relax. Cool. So what his brain was doing there was having to fire and increase its activation over and above what it was doing before we gave him the visuomotor challenge. Now, that's a specific movement of the eyes which actually will increase flexor recruitment. Okay. Now, the next movement we're going to do is going to be one that's more dominant for extensors. So we're going to do a sort of bridge position essentially, and we're doing this stuff that's dominant around the arms because people tend to have tendon issues around the arms, right? So what we'll do is just get Luke to come up into a bridge position. Now this is much higher dominance than the extensors, and I'm going to give him a horizontal target this time, and he's just going to flick his eyes between those two targets, trying to keep his head nice and still, and give me 3 more. 1, 2, 3, relax, and he is literally just flicking his eyes between the two targets. Where saccade is a fast eye movement flicking between two focal points. Okay, the head should remain still. It's not a tracking motion. It's something where the eye should flick quickly between the targets but settle on each target provided, so that there is there's actual focal acuity each time you land on the target, and that's what's keeping that accurate. Is the cerebellum, one of our favorite parts of the brain in this stuff. So two exercises there, one more flexor dominant where we did a vertical saccade and that was on the midline, and then an extensor dominant movement, horizontal saccades, which is going to give a higher recruitment to the extensor muscles. So take that on board, go away and play with it, use whatever movements you like. They're just examples, but they're good ones. Any isometric position that's held for time with proper form is very good for building tendon and connective tissue strength. When you include these visuomotor drills on top, you are creating that spatial summation, that same thing that they're talking about in the research. If you want to increase it even more, you can bring in rhythm to it, where the person does it to music or does it to a metronome. There's all sorts of things you can play with in this, so have some fun.